So I did not look at pants or legs or anything lower body related. I looked at your hair. So my question was, what if your hair was uncuttable? So my first thing that I looked at when I asked this question was, does your hair stop growing? Because if it doesn't stop growing, then you're just going to have infinitely long hair, or not infinite, but until you die, you're going to have like Rapunzel style hair. I want to see if that would actually happen. And the answer is no, because your hair actually does stop growing at some point. So the way that hair growth works is it goes through, each individual hair goes through a cycle. And the first phase of the cycle is called the Antigen Phase. And this is like the phase where the hair grows, where like it's still connected to the stuff in your head that like supplies nutrients to it, so it still grows. And the length of this phase varies a lot. They said that the average is around like 2 to 7 years. So it's a really big range. And your arm, oh, I do mention legs. Your arm and leg hairs.
Look like you made a fool of yourself this time, Chris.
I know. I saw the word leg in my notes. I was like, oh. Yeah, so the hair on your arms and legs, and also like your eyebrows and stuff, they have a shorter anagen phase. So that's why your hairs on those parts of your body are shorter. And those average around like 30 to 45 days. So the next phase after the anagen phase is the catagen phase. So this is when the root of the hair is cut off from the blood supply and like all the nutrients. So your hair stops growing and it becomes what they call a club hair. Not exactly, I guess they call it a club hair because the root of the hair becomes like keratinized tissue stuff and it forms like a bulb shape or like a club shape. So the catagen phase lasts around 3 weeks. And it sort of acts as a transition from the Antigen phase to the third phase, which is the Telogen phase. So the Telogen phase is just where the hair is completely dead and it easily falls out. So if you like brush it, then it'll just come out. Then after Telogen phase, your hair follicle, it cycles back to the Antigen phase and the cycle continues. A new hair grows. So for the average person, about 50 hairs fall out every day. And stress can end the anagen phase earlier than normal, and this causes a lot of hair to fall out at once. So if you're really stressed out, then that's why you lose hair. So if you can't cut your hair, it will keep on growing, but eventually it will fall out on its own. So you won't get Rapunzel style hair. So I wanted to see what actually affects the maximum length of your hair. What affects like when it falls out. There are a few different factors. So there's health, age, and season. So if you're healthier and if you like take care of your hair better, then it grows faster. If it's like a warmer or more humid climate, then your hair grows faster. And if you're younger, or if once you get older, then your hair starts to grow slower. So those are some of the things that affect the maximum length of your hair. But the main thing is really just genetics. So like the length of the anagen phase just depends on your genes. But they say that the average growth rate of your hair is around, it varies a lot again, but it's around 1 centimeter per month. And the average maximum hair length is around 40 inches or 3'4".
Oh, that's not too bad.
Yeah, so it's not too long. So again, we're not really going to get the Rapunzel style hair. At least most people aren't, but there are exceptions. It's still possible to grow super long hair in some cases. So I wanted to try to find these cases. So I looked at the world records according to the Guinness World Records. And the longest head hair, like hair growing from your head, is a woman in China, Xia Qiuping. They measured it in 2004. I guess that was like when they officially measured it. And it's 18 feet, 5 inches long.
Jesus.
Wow.
That's like,
I don't
what?
I don't believe she's cut it since then. So it might be longer than that now. That was in 2004 they measured it, so I don't know. She said that she started growing it in 1973 when she was 13 years old, and she just never cut it. So it's long.
Yeah, 18 feet is long.
I'm just
I thought like the record was gonna be like to ankle length or something. Like,
nope. To give context to the length, it's almost as long as the height of an adult giraffe. So
Gosh.
yeah, gosh. Yeah, so it is kind of Rapunzel length hair. I don't know how long Rapunzel's hair is in the stories, like the official length, but it seems to be in the range.
Well, I mean, in like the modern reimagining, when she's like in a third-story apartment in Brooklyn, it works.
Yeah, exactly. You can let your hair down from a window as long as the window is like a second or third story window, so it counts.
So that's hair from your head, but I also want to look at other body hair. So I looked at the longest mustache because in the case of men, your facial hair is going to grow too, and you also can't cut it. So if the maximum length of your hair is this long, then it's going to be this long. So the longest mustache is from a man in India. His name is Ram Singh Chauhan. I'm probably not pronouncing that right, but the mustache is 14 feet long. Still very, very long.
That's ridiculous. Like 14 feet from your face?
Yeah. He measured that sort of a while ago. So he measured it in 2010. He said he started growing it in 1970, and he was actually in the Bond movie Octopussy. So I guess it kind of made him famous. He's had some success with his long mustache. Since I'm looking at mustaches, I also looked at beards. The longest beard is a man in Norway named Hans N. Langseth, and his beard is 17'6". It was measured upon his death in 1927, so also very long, almost as long as the woman with the long head hair.
Is it bad that all I want to do is just like tie the ends of these people's hairs together and have them like duke it out?
Okay. Sure.
You just tie like the ends of the one guy's mustache to the ends of the other guy's beard, and then they just then they have to duke it out. Yeah.
I mean, what's the point in tying their hair together? They can still move pretty far away from each other.
I mean, it's probably what's gonna end up in like the Jigsaw movie, like 13 or whatever, wherever they end up, when they run out of other ideas to keep people trapped.
I mean, they would just cut their hair, right?
But what if it was uncuttable?
Like the first Saw movie was him cutting off his leg, and they've escalated to cutting off your hair.
It's like when he's like, just like where he's like gives up on the whole thing, where he's like the guy like shaves off his beard. It's like, oh damn, yeah, I didn't think about that one. All right, good job, guys. You appreciate life now or whatever.
Yeah, so those are the longest hair lengths, and for the sake of this hypothetical, I'm gonna say that I can achieve these lengths. If I can't cut my hair, then I'm gonna get this super long hair. So what exactly can I do with long hair? Because I gotta use it for something. And the obvious thing that I went to right away was use it as rope, because that's what Rapunzel does. She pulls things with it. So I wanted to use its tensile strength, and I wanted to see how strong hair actually is, how much it could actually carry. And to figure this out, again, it varies a lot depending on the type of hair. Just like everything else with hair, varies a lot. But I found a YouTube video of a guy he started taping like pennies to the end of a strand of hair. I don't know exactly where he got the hair because it didn't look like his hair, but he got it from somewhere. And the single strand of hair that he got could carry 22 pennies. So he weighed the pennies and it was around 60 grams. So if we shed 50 hairs per day, which is the average, that means that we shed enough hair every day to lift 6.6 pounds. So it's a decent amount. It's not like over the top, I guess, but it's pretty impressive. But since this is just a YouTube video, and it's not really that scientific, I went to a more scientific source, Wikipedia.
Yeah! Important.
Yeah. And Wikipedia says that human hair has an ultimate tensile strength of around 200 to 250 megapascals, which is about as strong as copper, and it's a little weaker than aluminum. So there actually is a person in real life that makes rope out of human hair. I actually don't know if it's a he or she. It's San Visser. I don't know if that's a male or female name, but yeah, they make rope out of human hair, and it's more of a novelty thing because it's not really practical. If we're talking about practical, we have way better options. So we make rope out of steel and nylon. Those are both way stronger than hair.
And rope?
Well, rope
rope?
isn't a material. Rope is like material that's weaved together.
But what's like a brown ass rope made out of?
There are different types. I think one of the more common ones is hemp. But there are other ones too.
I think a lot of time it is usually like natural fibers like that, right?
Yeah. But like nylon is a pretty common one too.
Yeah. Manila hemp, linen, cotton,
Yeah.
jute? They're making up things.
Okay. I didn't actually look up the strength of those types of rope. But we have nylon and steel, which is way stronger. So we have other options that are way better, especially since we have to wait for our hair to grow. And it's really like if we're trying to sell rope, then we don't want to wait like a year to get one rope. So it's not really a practical option for us. So I started looking at other options, and I started thinking about how human ancestors had way more body hair than we do now. And it was mainly to keep us warm during like cold climates. And hair is particularly good at that because it contains keratin, which makes it a good insulator. So instead of making rope out of my hair, I want to make clothes out of my hair. Just like for myself, I guess.
Do you, though? Like, were you too busy worrying about if you could that you didn't worry about whether you should?
I should, and I will. And I'm not the only one that thinks this, because apparently there is someone that actually does this. I don't think from her own hair, but it's from real human hair. She makes clothes of human hair. And the article that I read, I think the interviewer asked why she does this, and she said it's because it's controversial. So it's really just an art piece kind of thing, but it functions like clothes just fine, so why not? So I wanted to figure out if I would have enough hair to make a full outfit for myself, so I don't have to wear any clothes at all. So the human body has 20 square feet of skin, so I have to cover that amount of skin with my hair. The diameter of hair varies a lot, just like every other property of hair, apparently. And the diameter of hair ranges from 17 to 181 micrometers. And a common nominal value that people that study hair use is 75 micrometers, so that's what I used. And the average human has around 100,000 hairs on their head. So if you align each of those hairs side by side next to each other in just like one sheet of hair, it will be 24 feet wide. And then the length is just the world record length of 18 feet. So that means that my hair covers an area of 432 square feet, which means that I can cover my body in hair 21 times.
I hate this.
I think that's how. I think there's definitely something in the shirt making process that's missing from those numbers. But I feel like you have enough hair.
Yeah, I have enough hair. And if I actually, because I assume I'm going to be like weaving my hair together, if I weave it all together in 21 layers of hair, it'll be 1.5 millimeters thick. So I wanted to see, like, is this a reasonable thickness for like shirts and stuff and clothes? So a dress shirt ranges from 0.5 millimeters to 0.38 millimeters thick, depending on the material, and cotton falls on the lower end of that range. So I'm like 10 times that thickness, so I think we're good with hair. And if we're not good and I want more hair, I also have my mustache and my beard, so we can add those in.
Okay.
So that's basically what my plan is. I'm going to weave an entire outfit. Maybe it'll be a onesie, because why not? And eventually, it'll all still be attached to my head, because I can't cut it. But eventually it'll fall out and it'll become its own separate outfit from myself. Or I could just keep on continuously weaving my new hairs into it, and it can grow bigger and bigger and bigger. I have options.
I hate this so much. This makes me, like, viscerally upset, Chris.
That was a clip from Absurd Hypotheticals, the podcast where I answer dumb hypothetical questions. For the full episode, click on the link in the description.